Bama's going to try to move back into the Sweet 16 for a third year in a row later this afternoon.
You are Locked On Bama, your daily podcast on the Alabama Crimson Tide. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey, everybody, and welcome back into Locked On Bama, AHSA Radio Network's Luke Robinson. That's me. Not Jimmy Stein, but Michael Southern. That's him. The Asian Jimmy is what we call him, and it's worked out great. He does a fantastic job with Tide Hoops history, loves him some Alabama basketball, and glad to have him today to discuss a little bit about what Alabama is going to be facing later on this afternoon. We want to thank you every day for being here every day. Thank you, newbies, for being here today, and thank everybody for making this first listen every single day. We've gotten a lot of new subscribers recently and appreciate all you guys so very much. Michael, so Bama is going to be playing at 5:10 God's time, Central Time, later today. I'm in the Dominican Republic, and that's at 6:10, and hopefully I can get done with whatever it is we're doing, and I can come watch the game. And excited about it, but I'm going to tell you, this St. Mary's squad, I got to listen to them the other day on the way to the airport. They're pretty good, dude. I mean, Vandy had them. They had them beat. And this St. Mary's squad, I don't think it's a joke, and we're going to have to play our best.
Well, here's the thing I would say again. Second game out of the first weekend. I mean, to me, that's the advantage of Alabama. I mean, Alabama, we talk about that St. Mary's is a tough team to prepare for. Well, the opposite is true too. Alabama's a tough team to prepare for. If you look at right now with what St. Mary's, they're a strong defensive team. We know they're a good rebounding team. They've only given up 75 points twice this entire season. They won the West Coast Conference regular season title with a 17-1 record. But again, I don't think they've faced a team that's as talented as Alabama. And I know everyone's going to say, well, Robert Morris out-rebounded Alabama by 2. Well, if you look at the history of this team, which is a little both frustrating but also gives you hope, whenever this team has its pride damaged, meaning they didn't play from an effort standpoint the way you expected them, what have they done most of the time the very next game? They've come out pretty mad. I think you're going to get a good version of Alabama today. Oh, I think you're on mute.
I mean, why wouldn't I be on mute? I mean, it's stupid not to. I mean, I do it so well normally. Why would I be any different with the guest host? But let's go back to Robert Morris for a minute. Okay.
Yes.
That game was just, I don't know. I'm not taking anything for granted. Jimmy and I did a live reaction afterwards, and we were sort of like, hey, we know there's a lot of negativity out there right now, but let's also be happy. This is a survive and advance thing. I even tweeted that. I'm in survive and advance mode. Let's just get by this game. And then, because nobody plays their best 6 games in a row in this tournament, even to win it. You know, everybody has a scare or 2 or 3, and then they play probably their best somewhere in there once or twice. It's like a mini season. But there was definitely some concerns that I just hope like injuries don't come back to bite. I mean, now we're dealing with Grant Nelson, this nagging knee thing. We're dealing with Jaren Stevenson's got this wrist thing that, okay, he came back in the game. He sure did. But I would say that if you've ever played sports, you know, like when you're hurt, sometimes you can sort of come right back in the game, you know, get it taped up and go back in. And then it's the next day that things really start to hurt. So I just, I guess I'm remaining very positive. I am, but I'm just a little concerned that there's still some non-gelling, some non-cohesion that I'm seeing.
It was a little, especially when Robert Morris took the lead. Who would have imagined they were going to take a 1-point lead in the second half? So that was a little concerning. And then Alabama, basically Grant Nelson's the one who broke the glass on himself, telling coach, put me in. You're right. If you're going to win the national championship, unless you're historically just uber talented like UConn last year, somewhere you're going to have a game that you're like, whew, we were lucky to get away with that one. Hopefully this is Alabama's. We're lucky to get away with that one. We play a little bit better. The injury to Jaren with the wrist, you had Cliff Amore with a tender ankle, and of course Grant Nelson with the knee is concerning. So I still think I still believe that you're going to get a good version of Alabama today. It's just all the signs point that that's what's going to happen today. I mean, I could be totally wrong, but that's the way I'm approaching this game. Again, I think Nate Oates and this team, they always do well. You don't want to play them on the short preparation time. Okay. I know everyone's going to say, well, St. Mary's, you don't want to play them on short preparation. We played grinded out teams before. You think Tennessee, you think Houston is as good as St. Mary's at the end of the day? Alabama's faced that before. I think they're going to be okay today. I would be, if they win today, I would be more concerned about BYU in a week and the preparation for that when both teams have 5 days to prepare or 6 days, however long you have between the break.
That's a good point. And we'll certainly talk about BYU, who did beat Wisconsin. So, and by the way, here's another thing. I don't think that this means nothing. BYU gets an extra day of rest.
Yeah, they do.
We do. Because if we do win, we play on Thursday, and we played Sunday night, and BYU has been done since last night. So, I mean, I don't think that's nothing. I think that's something. I mean, it dawned on me during the game, while a lot of people got scared when Robert Morris took the lead, like, oh gosh, here we go. I thought kind of the opposite. Like, that's what Robert Morris had been trying to do so many times. They kept backing up to get a running start, and then they couldn't take the lead. They get in a hole again, then they get close, and they couldn't do it. And they finally did it. And I felt like when they finally did it, it was like a subconscious ceiling. Like, okay, we took the lead. And then Alabama went on an immediate run after that sort of pulled away, right? I feel like sometimes when you fight so hard just to get the lead, yeah, I mean, I guess on occasion it can be your momentum can swell. But I think in this particular case, we could see Alabama's the better team. I don't think there's any doubt about that. In this particular game, Robert Morris was hanging tough. And once they reached that sort of mythical mountaintop of taking the lead, even by a point, from that point forward, it was all Alabama, right?
Yeah, and the one thing I was a little not confused, but I was wondering, you saw how Alabama dominated the inside. You saw, I mean, Cliff just had a fantastic
Oh,
game from an offensive standpoint. So I don't know why we kind of at times we drifted away and just let them hang around. I think if you would have just made the decision to just do nothing but just taking it inside, you would have had a double-digit lead throughout the game. So again, Alabama is Alabama. If there's an open three, they're going to take it. I think the shooting probably will be a little bit better today. It's going to have to be better today because your possessions are going to be limited. So you are going to need to take advantage of your shots when they're there. But again, I was a little disappointed. We didn't have more points in the paint yesterday. We had a good amount, but I wanted to see even more the way they were playing yesterday with Cliff. Cliff was having an unbelievable first half. So I don't know why we kind of drifted away a little bit from that. And then we had to bring in Grant to just give the team a spark. After they came back and took the lead, I don't know. It wasn't panic, but again, you had to bring Grant, and I don't know. Again, first round games. Remember the Elite Eight run that 2004, Alabama could easily lost their first game before they went and upset Stanford. So these things happened.
well, it does. And here's the other thing. I've seen some folks on Twitter say, boy, you had to panic and bring Grant Nelson in. I don't think it's panic when you're like, this is win or go home. I mean, it's not panicking when you're doing everything you can do to make sure you just advance, because the next game doesn't matter if you're not in it. So, of course, you're going to bring Grant in or whatever. I had no problem with it. I mean, I saw the argument at first, like, I kind of wish we could have sat Grant. Yep, me too. We couldn't. We didn't need to. I mean, it would have been nice.
You're
But
100%. Look, this is a totally different season. This is not the regular season. There is no, oh, okay, we'll learn from this game and
yeah,
play the next game. No, you do whatever it takes to win this game, which I hate to joke, but I wonder if during this tournament run, even like today, if a team goes on a good run, is coach going to call timeout? I'm just wondering if we're going to change any tactics during the middle of the game like that.
it'd be kind of funny. And yeah, that's the other thing I think people forget. Nate Oates was teaching math about 10, 12 years ago. So if he doesn't call every timeout you think he should call, cut him a little slack considering the position we're in. All right, we're going to come back and talk about this St. Mary's game a little bit more. But right now, I want to talk about 5-Hour Energy, man. Y'all know I love 5-Hour Energy. I do. I really do. I take it all the time. Got some in my car. When you call games for the HSA and you call games for other situations and you spend a lot of time doing podcasts and you got a bunch of kids, you're going to need some 5-hour energy. Daylight savings time snuck up on us again, definitely snuck up on me. And if you're feeling like that lost hour of sleep is killing you, 5-hour energy has your back. The extra sunshine means more time for fun, but sometimes you need a little boost to power through. Whether you're staying up late watching the NCAA tournament, squeezing in a round of golf after work, or just trying to keep up with your busy day, 5-hour energy gives you that quick, refreshing pick-me-up whenever you need it. It's great for staying up late. I've needed it for the March Madness, I promise you. If you need one now, you just go to grab our 5-hour energy shot at your local grocery store or convenience store. But I do want you to head over to 5hourenergy.com to find over 15 flavors to choose from, including watermelon, blue raspberry, and peach mango. Got a lot of peach mango stuff over here at the Dominican, and that's what I'm going to be hooked on, because I'm going to get addicted to peach mango stuff. You can even build your own 12-pack or 24-pack delivered right to your door. That's 5hourenergy.com. You're going to love it. I've used it a bunch and highly recommend. Okay, so St. Mary's today, it was Cliff Amore who had a big game for Alabama against Robert Morris. It really unexpectedly. I mean, dare I say that was his best game in a Bama uniform?
He looked sharp, and he looked very, as what we talked about, he's very smooth and efficient. And when you get him going, he scores so quickly. You're like, did I just see a dunk? Did he really do that? So I think you're going to need Cliff Amore in this tournament if you're going to make a deep run. I mean, heck, you're going to need everybody, but
Yep.
this is the reason you went out and got Cliff Amore. This is the time. If there's ever a time he's going to be what you want him to be, he better be it right now. Because again, this is why you brought him in. This is what you said you missed last year. So let him play. Get him in there, get him involved in the offense, and you need him to rebound, by the way, too, especially today. That's a pretty good size front court you're going to have in St. Mary's. So, and look, Mo Diabate went out there as usual doing Mo Diabate things, getting rebounds. So again, we know what the majority of rebounding is effort. So if we need Cliff to be the big dog we expect him to be for the rest of this tournament, no matter how deep Alabama goes.
I'm looking at their front line right now, and it is huge. I mean, 2 7'1" guys, a 6'10" guy, and then a 6'9", a couple of 6'8". They got nobody under 6 feet. They've got a dude that is exactly 6 feet, but they got nobody shorter than that. This is a tall team. Now, they're not as athletic as we are, and they're also not as strong as we are. I don't believe that. I mean, I believe our athleticism, speed, and strength is an advantage. Their height is great. But Mo Diabate isn't going to be intimidated by somebody 7'1", and Mo Diabate has the arm length of almost somebody who's 7'1". So it doesn't exactly even out. But the key is you just got to box those guys out. You just have to be there to box them out. And I think that's going to be the key to the game. So I don't know if it's Cliff Amore who's going to have the surprising game today, but if you could. Let's take him off the board just because he's already had it. Who would you want to have one of those? Oh my gosh, I didn't know he was going to have this kind of game today. Days.
Jaren Stevenson. So, well, you know what you're going to get with Mo D. So whatever Mo D is not going to be surprising. You know that. I mean, fans have complained about this all year. Maybe, I don't know, justifiably so, but we need Clemson Jaren to show up today. What we need by that is we need someone who's confident, someone who's going to take the corner three, and someone who's going to have stronger hands on those rebounds. I'll say this: Ryan Pannone has said for every time I've listened to him talk at some of the Bama tip-off clubs, he continually says, no one is more talented on that roster than Jaren Stevenson. No one makes more wow plays in practice than Jaren Stevenson. But surprisingly, no one has a harder time translating that practice success to a game than Jaren Stevenson. And again, that goes back to confidence. I mean, you've seen flashes of brilliance from him. When he wants to attack the rim, he looks good. When he has confidence in his shot and he gets the ball passed to him where he needs it to be, he hits it. So again, the talent is there. I don't know why the confidence isn't. I'm going to, again, not make an excuse, but I guess you could say, think of it this way. this truly would be his true freshman year had he not reclassified.
Yeah.
So I would love to see a Jaren Stevenson legacy game today. That would be fantastic because I know the talent's there. He just doesn't have the confidence. And then hopefully that wrist is not as injured as it looked like it was in the first half or in the game yesterday.
Yeah, I think that's a great point about Jaren. Here's the other thing about Jaren. Like, you wonder, it's little things in the game that you can pick out sometimes. And I guess we'll never know if they actually mean something. I think this means something. I go back to his injury against Robert Morris. That was a clear, like, not screwing around foul. It should have been called. It got him hurt. And if that foul is called, I wonder if those are little things that help boost your ego, boost your confidence. Because when it's not called, when a foul like that is not called, you can't help but kind of think, I deserve more respect than that. Now, there's two ways to go when things like that happen. Either you go out and try and earn more respect, or you sort of go back into a shell, not a full shell. I hope y'all know where I'm going with this. Like, it's not complete extremes. I'm just saying, when you don't get calls like that, sometimes you can sort of be like, well, I'm never going to get that call. And you can sort of be a little down on yourself. Jaren needs a game where he comes out, he gets the calls, and then he goes on to make the plays. And the more calls you get, the more adventurous and more confident you become in terms of trying to make other plays. We all know, we've all seen Jaren this year make some big rebounds. He did it in the Auburn game at Auburn, where he had a big rebound, and if we keep the ball, that game's probably over in that moment. But instead, he started dribbling, and then he was like, oh, no, I don't need to be dribbling. He turned around and just sort of bounced it backwards in a weird way, and Auburn got the turnover. And everybody's seen that, and he's done that in other situations too. We've got to make it where Jaren he feels confident, like either go dribble, either take it down the court with confidence, or hold it and get it to somebody with confidence. When you get in the in-between place, that's a problem.
Well, all the things that you see, all the good and then all the bad, well, not shouldn't say bad, but the frustrating plays that you've seen this season, again, truly are all the signs of a young player.
Yeah.
It's a maturation process. Everything you just described is a learning process for a young player. It's also one of the reasons why you see the trend in college basketball that the more experienced teams usually are the ones that make the deepest runs and win the tournament now. It's really hard if you're going to roll out 4 freshmen out there and win the national championship, even though you may have 3 or 4 lottery picks. I mean, Rutgers is going to have 2 top 5 picks and they didn't even make the tournament. So again, this is the roster construction. You see what Florida has done. You see the way Nate Oates is leaning now. He wants senior players. He wants experienced players with some talent. And that's the mix that you have. Jaren is on the end of where he's one of the younger players that needs the maturity and the experience. So I hope, again, I really hope that this tournament brings out the best in Jaren. Now, saying that, if he comes out and has a dominating tournament, you know what that means? He'll be gone to
he's
the
gone.
he'll be gone to the NBA like Antonio McDyess. I'm not saying he's going to come out and have 39 points and 22 rebounds. My goodness, if he did, that'd be wild. I'd love to see that. But again, all part of the growing process with a young player. I like Alabama's mix in this tournament. They've got the experience. Look, after the game, the Robert Morris game, I really liked one of the comments or analysis that Charles Barkley said. And I love Barkley's analysis. I think he's great. But he talked about, right now, Alabama's going to go as deep as far as Mark Sears and Grant Nelson take them. They're the senior players. They've been through this. They're the ones everyone's going to turn to when the chips are down. So, you're going to need both of them. And then you're going to need the young guys with their talent to come along and fill the gap. So I agree with Barkley completely that this is Mark Sears and Grant Nelson's time right now. They're going to have to lead them as deep as they can go. And then the young guys are going to have to fill whatever holes pop up throughout the run.
And I think that's why when people were saying the other day that, oh my gosh, Alabama panicked to bring Grant Nelson in, instead of flip the script and say, how cool was it for Grant Nelson to be like, this is win or go home, baby. I can't be sitting over here with a sore knee. I mean, there's nothing torn, there's nothing broken, and they need me. Why don't I go out there and help? All right, we're going to talk a little game time. Game time is the easiest live read I do because I've used it the most. I love all our sponsors, don't get me wrong. Imagine watching your favorite team live, feeling the energy of the crowd, and witnessing unforgettable moments. There's nothing like experience a big game in person, because I've done it a bunch. Getting tickets shouldn't be stressful. That's where Game Time comes in, making it easier than ever to grab last-minute seats at unbeatable prices. Game Time picks. Look, curation makes it easier to find better value for tickets to sports like concerts, comedy, theater, etc. And easy ticket shopping, Game Time's got it in spades, baby. I just checked on the Game Time app, and there are amazing deals on some huge matchups that are coming up for a specific tournament you may want to see, for example. They're all kind of super deals. Game Time will credit you 100% of the difference if it's not the lowest price. That's the lowest price guaranteed. They got it all. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. That's LOCKEDONCollege, all one word, for $20 off. Download Game Time today. Last minute tickets, the lowest price, and that's guaranteed. You know, I don't think when I say guaranteed, you know, it used to be that Cajun chef that did that,
Yeah.
right? And I don't know that most of our audience knows who that is. And he's got to be dead. You know, we do a segment on Sports Blitz Live on Tuesdays where my co-host, who does a great job, Andy, he brings in a list of guys or girls, and he's like, Luke, you just got to tell me if these people are alive or dead. And it's unbelievable. I'm less than 50-50 because there's some of them, you know, he'll say like, you know, some of the Golden Girls he'll do. And I'll be like, oh, she's got to be dead. She was a Golden Girl back in the 80s. And they're like, no, she's alive. I'm like, what? And I bet she wishes she was dead. So anyway, let's talk a little more about St. Mary's and then just a quick peek ahead to BYU. But so Marcellonis is the guard for St. Mary's, that very, very good. Man, and I heard, again, it's such an interesting perspective to listen to the radio versus watch it on TV. And a good radio guy, and there was a good radio guy calling this game. He made me understand how good this Marcellonis guy is. And I'm not going to pretend like I've seen St. Mary's like I haven't. But I know they've beaten Gonzaga twice this year. They lost to him the third time. But this Marcellonis kid is something. And I in my head, it's sort of like how scary Jaws was before you actually saw Jaws. You know, that's what a good monster movie does. It makes you imagine the worst monster in your head versus showing you the monster and you're like, oh, that's not so bad. But I'm worried about Marcellonis. My question to you is, who do you put on him? Do you put Sears on him because he's your senior leader, but he's probably your weakest defender? Or do you put LeBaron on him, who's a much better defender, in my opinion, much better. I mean, he's got the length, he's got the athleticism, and he ain't scared of nothing, but he's a true freshman.
Phylon all the way. I would
Me too.
definitely go with LeBaron Phylon. And look, Alabama fans may get mad at me, but by saying this, but this is a game where you miss Rylan Griffin too, by the way. Oh, you could have used
God.
his 6'6", 6'7" body type with the length that he had, because look, you know, I personally wish Rylan would have stayed. And now, granted, they may not have signed some of the people they did to the transfer portal had he stayed. But in a game like this, Rylan Griffin would have been fantastic for you because he was such an excellent defender and he's a great shooter too. He is. So, but no, I would have LeBaron Phylon on this guy. You're right. I haven't seen him play, so I don't know how good he specifically is. I only see the stats in the games where he's done really well. And again, you see a lot of some of these. You know, some of these mid-major conferences, you see a lot of the international players on there. Well, heck, we should be used to it because Tennessee does that all the time. Tennessee's nothing but international players. So, again, it's a different style. You can expect those players to be more fundamentally sound as far as basketball IQ and knowledge. But again, I'm with you. I want LeBaron Phylon probably on this guy. He's my first defender on this guy. You're on mute.
It's so frustrating because I'm I'm trying to look up things while you're talking and listen to you, and I'm like, you know, what I don't want to see is something crazy and be like, oh my God, while you're talking. So I'm trying to mute myself. People are like, why do you ever mute? I mean, because I'm trying to be a professional, and I'm seeing how terrible I am at being a professional. So y'all just bear with me. But yeah, I want Phylon on him too. Now, the other thing is maybe you even do something different. I mean, is it crazy to put a Jaren Stevenson on him just to try and frustrate him. I mean, now I don't know if Jaren can hang with him based on what I listen to. But here's the other thing. I don't know that it's like the absolute opposite of Styles as people thought about, because Vanderbilt got like a 10 or 12-point lead in that game, and St. Mary's came back pretty quickly. And that's what really worried me was, St. Mary's is pretty methodical, and they're very rigorous in terms of what they do, and it's going to be this way, and it's going to be a little slow. But if they have to speed it up, they could. What I'm worried about with us, and we've seen this in games down the stretch, we sort of are what we are, and Nate Oates encourages this. It's like, we're not good at holding the ball, to try and waste minutes, because that's not what we do. And so I think St. Mary's is better at catching up to us than we are trying to slow it down so that St. Mary's can't catch up. Does that make sense?
Now, I understand what you mean by that. Here's what I'm going to be curious to see. How successful is Alabama going to be able to push the ball in transition if they get a defensive rebound? The key there to me is getting back quick, so the big 6'10" center can't set up, and they can just kind of stand there under the paint trying to slow things down. I want to see how quickly Alabama can get back in transition. And yes, look, Alabama is Alabama. We talked about, or people say, well, we got to cut down on the turnovers. Well, you know what? At this point, Alabama is what they are.
Yeah.
And they play, honestly, they play better when they average 10 to 13, 14 turnovers than when they're trying to hold the ball and not turn it over. Look at the first Auburn game. They had fewer turnovers, but they weren't willing to take the chances, which lead to some of the easy buckets or open shots that they usually have. So at this point, Alabama's shown the propensity to be able to score in high volumes, but they have to play the way they play. So that means some of the downfall is you're going to see a higher number of turnovers. But at this point, I'm okay with that. You are who you are. Lean into what you're good at. So I want Alabama to push the ball. I want them to take the shots. I want them to attack the rim from a rebounding perspective, because you're talking about one of the best 2-point shooting teams in the country. Not 3-point shooting, 2-point. And why? Because when they want to, they can get rebounds and attack the glass.
And of course, if Alabama were to get by St. Mary's, they would play BYU in what should be an incredibly fun game. I mean, BYU's, they're talented, they're fun, they get up and down. I watched them against Wisconsin. Now, I know that I went to bed before it got close, but it ended up being only a 2-point game. And so Wisconsin obviously give them credit for coming back, I guess. But this BYU squad, obviously more athletic than you think, and they can shoot. So that will be an interesting game. And then most likely, if we get by them, is Duke. So be a lot of fun to go up to Newark. Would you head to Newark? Right?
No, yeah, I won't be able to make it. When they sent out the Tide Pride locations, I put in for Atlanta, which I knew Alabama was not going to get, and Indianapolis, but couldn't make it to Newark or San Francisco. So it's Final Four or bust for me on this one. So I'll be in San Antonio, but I won't make it up to Newark. But BYU is not the BYU you and I remember. They are a lot. You're right. They're a lot more athletic. They've got good size, and they play at a very brisk pace. So if Alabama wins today, that's going to be an interesting matchup. Again, I say Alabama's always the most vulnerable in the first game of a weekend, like yesterday, and also if they play Thursday. They get past the Thursday game. I like our chances against Duke if we get past the Thursday game, but you got to get past the Thursday game just like you got to get past today. So I don't want it too far ahead. But again, anytime you play Alabama as the second game of the weekend, I really like our chances.
It's also the AJ Dabansta.
DeBansta, AJ DeBansta, yeah.
Yeah, DeBansta Bowl. I'm glad he's not on the team this year. That dude.
No, thank goodness he's not on the team this year.
But yeah, we got to win today first. I've already talked to Jimmy. He and I should be able to go live after that. So hopefully we will make that happen again. It's all a whirlwind right now because Jimmy's traveling, I'm traveling, everybody's out and about. And so anyway, appreciate my main man, Michael Asian Jimmy Southern, stepping in and doing very Jimmy-like things. We appreciate you, brother.
Anytime, man. It's a blast. I enjoy doing this during basketball season.
All right, my friend, that's going to do it for today. We'll be back after the game. Until then, roll tide, everybody.
Roll Tide.